So in the second part of this series on Free Fallin', John Mayer's cover of the Tom Petty song, I'm going to show you the finger-picking intro to the song. It's kind of the core part that really got everyone into the song. It's just such an enchanting moment, and a lot of his really cool finger-picking ideas are in this section. So that's really the next step in this. Remember, you got a capo on the 3rd fret, so we're kind of playing D fingering. It's sounding in the key of F, just FYI. All right, so as you recall, we kind of got these 3 basic chords. Got the D with the F sharp in the bass. We got the G in all of its various forms. I've talked about those in the other lesson. And then it goes back from the G to the D with the F sharp, and then an A. Those are all the basic configurations. Now, one general thing I'm going to say is really important is that having your hand in a position that's fairly stable and has really small motions between the chords is a pretty big deal, because with all the hammers that are going to come up, it gets really easy to get lost. So what I would try to do, if you can, is do this with the thumb and keep the pointer finger kind of planted around the 2nd fret in a more or less bar position. The bar's going to move a little bit, but it's generally going to kind of shuffle between being on the 4th string and then kind of sliding back to being just on the 2nd and 3rd strings. So, but it's not going to move a lot. And that minimal movement's going to really help the smoothness of it a lot. It's really got a ring. So I just bear that in mind as you kind of work through all this stuff. Next thing, all right, let's get rolling with it. So the first bar, it really kind of starts with an arpeggio that kind of sweeps down and winds up on a bass note, Only thing that's not quite just a sweeping arpeggio finger picking down is that first note's a little pinch. Except not with the thumb. It's with the pointer and the ring fingers on the D and the B string. So the first thing he does is just octave Ds. And then he fills it in. Kind of fills in, he goes ring, middle, pointer, thumb on the open E, and then he goes up to the 3rd fret of the E string. So one more time, first bar. 3, 4. Play that once more. 3, 4. So the next section, he just starts out with the standard, he goes pluck, pluck, plucks those chords, and then I think this is the riff that really kind of gets everyone right at first, is he kind of sweeps up, kind of hammers right there. And as you can see, getting that hammer can be a little bit tricky. What I tend to try to do is make sure that there's enough kind of arch in this finger, right there like that, so that these fingers can get nice and far over the frets, and which of course is at the risk of kind of bringing your thumb back too far. So usually, I mean, if I'm really trying to do this, I will usually let my thumb kind of drop and use my middle and ring fingers, which gives me a nice strong thing. But if I want to kind of stay in the position I was talking about, I usually got to kind of keep my thumb here and then use my ring and my pinkies, which is, yeah, you can see it's tricky. On a good day, I can do it. But I mean, you kind of got to make a decision about that, is whether you want to kind of sacrifice the position or the kind of speed of transitioning between the chords. So, but here's the riff one more time. So, it kind of goes from, and then he kind of goes up on the A and the D strings, hammer, and then kind of goes down D and A strings. So it's kind of it's like a wave. All these things are like waves. They kind of go up and they go back down. So let's play that whole first 2 bars. 3, 4. Pinch, falling, down to open. 3. Chord, 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 and then the wave. One more time. There you go. So that's the first lick. There's 4 of these. So got 1 down, 4 to go. Starts out kind of rolling up an arpeggio again, and then pulls off the ring finger to the 2nd fret of the B string. Guess I should probably try to keep this bar down. Yeah. And then he kind of this melody kind of goes na na na. That's kind of what you want to hear, if you can. And usually, John does these chords in the intro with the kind of add 9 position. He's got the pointer finger on the 2nd fret. But I gotta say, he also kind of like drops a lot of these notes with the dynamics, so I'm just have a general sense of this, but don't fuss too much about the specific notes. As long as you kind of know the general idea, then the key things are going to fall into place. So for the second line, rolls up this arpeggio, pull off, and then same thing again, chord, chord. He does a very similar rolling arpeggio going up, but he only hammers on with one finger. And as he comes down the arpeggio, rather than rolling down to the D and the A strings, he rolls down to the thick E string and kind of gives it a going into the next bar. Just like that. So if I play that whole second riff. Like that. I'll play it one more time. 3, 4. Goes on. So those are the first 2 cycles. So the third cycle is very much like the second. He kind of starts with that, just the way he did before, and then in the middle here he kind of does a little pluck and chuck thing for a second there. He rolls up an arpeggio, and then he chucks. The main note he kind of aims for, I think, I tend to hear, I tend to hear that melody kind of come out. So I tend to try to like hit the D string, but kind of mainly aim for this note on the A string. If I kind of took the strum away, that's kind of what I would hear. So you can hear that a little melodic action going on there. So if I play that in context, 3, 4. And then I'll usually kind of fill a thumb stroke and a pointer finger in there right after. So you kind of do another bass note and then an extra pointer finger to fill in the space. One more time. 3, 4. There you go. So that, and then it does the chords again. So this time, it's not going to pluck 2 strings when it hammers. It's going to kind of, start this kind of upward rolling in the same way, but it's going to reach the B string. It's going to go thumb, pointer, middle. When it hits the B string with just the ring finger, that's when it hammers. So it goes thumb, pointer, middle, ring, hammer. And then it's going to pluck the D string once. Yep, the D string. And sometimes that string will be kind of heard as open because he's kind of switching chords as he does that. So if it's this note or this note, it's not a huge thing. It just kind of hits something on the D string to fill the space in. So the real key with that arpeggio is just starting it at the right spot. I'll try to count with it. 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. Because it's going to kind of take you right up to the edge of the next bar. It kind of rolls right into the next thing. So let's take just that whole third cycle all together. Again, it starts just like the second. 3, 4. Yep. And that's where we go into the last cycle. Fourth cycle starts with the same kind of roll upwards as before, but you're going to have an extra bass note kind of leading to the G chord. Goes. I have a really hard time with a thumb voice and kind of getting this chord up here to ring. It's not going to make or break you, but I mean it's a good challenge to try to get to see if you can kind of like move this thumb up without kind of muting all the upper strings. So if I do the rolling up again, 3, 4. Same pluck and chuck in the middle, and then chord, chord. So again, that's basically the fourth cycle. See, it's very similar to a lot of the other ones. The pluck and chuck thing he does in the middle is pretty much the same as what he does in the third cycle. And then the arpeggio at the end is similar, but there's no hammers at all. He just kind of goes... He goes thumb, pointer, middle, ring, pointer. Kind of on these middle 4 strings. So let me play the whole 4th cycle again really slowly. 3, 4. There you have it. That's the fingerpicking intro to John Mayer's version of Free Fallin'. Next lesson, we're going to kind of flesh out a lot of the kind of more subtle variations and explorations we can do with the fingerpicking. Should be fun. Hope to see you there.